One thing you just said, when you're talking about how you were always been tapped into, East Coast, West Coast, whatever different types of music. That's one of the things that I think you're really gifted at. You can touch an East Coast beat, quote unquote East Coast beat. You can get into a West Coast pocket.
Yeah.
And those two things can be very far apart at the same time.
Yeah.
So is that a product of just what you've been into, or you listening to, or is it just however you feel a track? Is that something intentional at the same time?
Yeah and no, because I feel like my context will always be West Coast, regardless of whatever production I'm on. You feel me? Just based on my phrases and some of my terms. Like I may say a word that you've never heard other than where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn. Like, yeah, like like the beat sounds like this, but that's a West Coast word for sure. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it is intentional as far as but for the most part, if I'm working on a record, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna be working with that producer for the whole project. So we'll curate a sound and run off whatever, the subject matter is after we figure out the direction of the project. So at that point, it does turn intentional. Because like the Scandalous Summers, that's a whole nother story. You feel me? Opposed to the Green Bottle.
Right. I mean, before the Green Bottle, I got to spend more time with the Green Bottle, I'll be honest. But Scandalous Summer to me, that's my favorite project from you. To be straight up. Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's not like, it's not blowing everything out the water. You're top flight all around either way. But that project to me felt really curated. I think the storytelling was in there. And just sonically, it was cohesive the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what you say? What's Big Game James? Jay Worthy joint. Everything scandalous. It's and that was with Local Astronauts.
Yeah.
Right. So that's Polly Robin Badger. So you do a lot of curated projects with different producers.
Yeah.
And I get a similar feeling with this one. Now the Polly, I guess Polly's from Brooklyn, but he's been out here so long, and Badger's from the West Coast. And then so it's another example of just the range that you have.
Yeah.
I also see a lot of people who will say that your flow reminds them of Nipsey Hussle at different points.
I've been hearing that lately.
Yeah.
I've heard it here and there. I've heard it here and there, but lately I get that a lot. Like, oh, he sound like Nip. He sound like Nip. Especially on Line It Up and Mr. Servon.
Right.
Good.
Which is on the Green Bottle. They like, oh, you need to stay in this pocket. And I'm just like, this been my pocket. You know what I'm saying? That's been that cadence, that delivery has been there, since 2013. You know what I'm saying? But going back to 10,000 hours, you feel me? Like, I've been in this 10 years and I'm just now breaking the ice because that's where we at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now now you could put a comparison on it because it's been marinating. You feel me? It's like, oh, he sound like Nip. But I don't know how that happened like that. I never really got into Nipsey's music until, rest in peace, until he passed. You feel me? So I didn't really get into his music until I listened to a couple records off the Mailbox Money album. And then obviously I've listened to Victory Lap a few times, but I never listened to him enough to have an influence, for him to have an influence on my sound. So however that may be, shouts out, but I get that a lot now.
Maybe it's just cultural. You know?
Maybe.
Yeah, being from the same region, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
About the same age, probably. You know what I mean? Like, perhaps that's what it is.
Yeah.
There's the LA accent.
Yeah.
You know.
The
LA accent always kills me.
I know, right? I'm the one with the accent. Excuse me.
Yeah, you sound like you from LA.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I mean,
I get it.
How's it make you feel when people say that your flow reminds them of Nip?
That's dope. It's dope because you got to think that was a void. That's a big void. You know, that's also a big void to fill. You know, because he was super heavy, man. He was really dope at what he was doing. He was dope outside of, you know, just being an artist, but as a human. You feel me? As a father, as a brother, as a businessman. You know, even to him, like on some, like being intellectual and well spoken and outspoken, and he was well versed in who he was. You know what I'm saying? So that's a huge void to step in and be like, all right, well, I sound like him. You know, that's big. You know, that's kind of and to be on the opposite side of where he was from is even more crazy because it's like, oh well, he from over there and Nip was from over there, so it's kind of like damn. But at the same time, you know, that's legendary. You know.
For people who might not know what you mean by that, what do you mean by the opposite side?
You know, he was from where he was from. I'm on the other side of that. You feel me? Like for him to be so close, but we so far away, as in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So he over here, I'm over here. It's only like a 10-minute drive, but you know, that's the other side. It's out of bounds for both of us.
Right.
You know, which is crazy because it's really across the street. So
a lot of times it'd be like that, man. I mean, every place I've lived, a lot of times, you know, when it comes to different, whether it's different sets or different, whoever the ops might be, we're talking like blocks.
yeah,
It's really a very local thing that the internet makes really loud. And then back in the day, it used to be the music and the movies that made it really loud. You know, we were talking about, you know, Bloods and Crips earlier in this conversation. And when I moved out here, all the images that I'd seen on TV and in the media was generally speaking my interaction with what a Blood was, what a Crip was. Right. But then you get out here and it's not as black and white. It's not as, you know, it's not as immediately antagonistic or instantly antagonistic as a lot of times it's played
TV
out.
doing its job, I guess. You know what I mean?
for the most
It's
part,
meant to make you think like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
for the most part, most of the Crips out here beef with Crips. So that's what I'm saying. Like most of the Crips out here beef with Crips, and some of the Bloods beef with Bloods, or a lot of the times it's all internal. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I went to my first time seeing Nipsey live. Is this right? I don't know if it was first time performing. First time seeing him in person though was at the Crenshaw release when he put out the $100 album, and I went to that. I covered it for Hip Hop DX, and I didn't get the CD. I didn't. There's no point being. I didn't even have an optical drive. You know, I wasn't getting to see. I ended up buying a Crenshaw crew neck. That was $125. So I definitely supported the mission.
Yeah.
But I'd never seen nothing like that either. I had not seen people stand in line wrapped around the corner to buy a $100 CD that's going to be free online the next day. Right. And that to me is another example of someone who just, like you were talking about, just the intellectual he was. He was outspoken and way to bring people together.
Yeah. That just shows his impact on who he was, inside and outside of what we doing here. You feel me? So yeah, he was major for sure, especially to the city. So like I said, that was a void. a super void because it's like, damn, now who do we have to, like, where's that voice gonna come from? You feel me? So it's kind of dope to even sound like that, to like, hey, I'm like, damn. That he kind of give me that feeling. Like even to just hear, like, to sound like somebody, that means you had that feeling. You got that feeling from how I was saying, maybe a word or two to make you think about Nipsey. It's dope.
Right.
That's super dope.
Yeah. One second applause to Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah.
Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom happening. Systematical culture views us radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dabbing them. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, yes, y'all, you don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.